There's a new category of sales tools that you need to be leveraging in your sales cycles. They're called digital sales rooms, and they increase buyer engagement by 3 to 5%. Now, I know what you're thinking. What the f is a digital sales room? So I'm sure you've all been there. You're managing a sales cycle. There's questions being sent over email. There's a tons of meetings, especially if you sell to large enterprises. These deals can have a ton of different stakeholders. I once worked a 19-month sales cycle with over 17 different stakeholders. You can imagine the different types of email threads that I've had and all the documents that I've shared over the past year and a half. It can be extremely overwhelming. And I personally can't even find the documents that I need to do the sales cycle, let alone my prospects. I found my prospects asking the same questions over and over again, asking for the same documents, because nothing could be found in those email threads. If it was in the email thread, it went to die. So that's where digital sales rooms come into play. A digital sale room is a collaborative space for you and your prospect to share documents, to agree on timelines, and also to communicate back and forth. So they have one place for everything they need. Now, digital sales rooms are getting extremely hot. There's new vendors popping up left and right. My favorite digital sales room comes from a company called Aligned. So in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing a digital sales room in Aligned and show you how to maximize your time with your buyers. So first things first, go to alignedup.com. You're gonna hit the start for free button on the top right corner. Now, after you sign up, you're gonna hit the create a new room button. In this example, we're gonna start from scratch. So as I mentioned, this is a collaborative space for you and your prospects. So the first thing you're gonna do is add the company name that you're selling to. So let's just say, for example, I'm selling to Tesla. I'm gonna write Tesla. You can also search for the company logo, which will help you personalize the space. So let's just do create. And now we're creating a digital sales room for Acme, which is my fake company, and Tesla. Now think of this as a personalized website for you and your buyer. So you can pretty much personalize almost anything in the space, like the banner, the headline, and even the description. So in the description, what you're gonna wanna do is actually put like a small message like, hey team, I created this space for us to share documents, resources, and a timeline. If you have any questions, you can contact me at, and you could even put your mobile phone number just in case you want folks to easily be able to contact you. So that's your welcome message. You can change this welcome message to anybody, etc. Now, what you also can start to add in is like a process overview. Now, the process overview is basically a space you can create things that have been accomplished, like aligning on the business, and then things that are outstanding. So in this case, maybe we need to still have the evaluation in place. That didn't occur yet. Maybe we need to go over pricing models and ROI, or maybe we need to go through legal and security, all before we actually can finalize a partnership. Now, here's one of my favorite sections is the demo section. So you can do things like adding in your call recordings. If you have a ton of different calls with a prospect and their team, you're gonna have all these different gong links like spread out all over the sales cycle. So this is a place where you can organize all of your call recordings based on the topics you discussed. So for example, you might wanna put in things like the initial demo or conversation. You might wanna put in specific demos that cover certain topics. Maybe you even wanna put in a pricing conversation at some point in the sales process. This way, they can easily go in and reference back a call that you've had with them months ago. You can start to add in relevant case studies based on the conversations you've had with this prospect. So if I'm selling Tesla, which is in the automotive industry, I'm probably gonna list a lot of case studies that are relevant to the automotive industry. So these rooms are going to be personalized based on the conversations that you guys are having. You can also put in like a custom proposal. This does require a little bit more work. However, I find whenever you put in that extra step, doing the extra work always pays off. Instead of just sending them pricing over email, what you can do is actually create a proposal within the Aligned app. And that way they have access to it. They can see how the packages are priced, how many users folks get. You can see the custom terms, the quantity of each item, all within one place. The other thing that you can do, which is really important, is making sure you're mutually aligned on a timeline. Now, what does that mean? They need to understand how to buy your software, so you as the salesperson are to explain how the purchasing typically works. It would work something like this. Hey prospect, typically in the sales processes, there's a few calls that we cover that focus on X, Y, and Z topic. From there, we decide if there's a mutual fit, we move into pricing. If pricing works out well and we mutually agree on a price that works for the both of us, we then go into the legal review that typically takes about 1 to 2 weeks to make sure your legal team vets out our software. From there, we can sign off and actually kick off our partnership. That's just an example. Now, you wanna make sure that you can replicate that conversation into an aligned room. That way they know exactly what calls we've taken, plus the calls that are outstanding. In this example here, we've done a lot of the different demos that typically occur in the sales process. However, we haven't gotten to that pricing and scoping section of the evaluation. Now, you can start to add in things like dates. If they want to sign by April 1st, well, for example, this is going to need to occur by March 15th, and you can put in those dates for them here, and you can assign it to a particular person, like the client, myself, or anyone involved. Once that call actually occurs, you can click the mark as done section. You have a nice little confetti that comes down and you are on to the next portion of the sales process. The other section is the documents section. Now, if you're running a large sales process, you are sending tons of documents, you're sending decks, you're sending legal documents, it's a lot. And so having those sit within your email inbox probably is not the best place to have legal documents sitting. So what I like to do is add in all of our legal documents into the documents tab where we can list everything in one place and they can easily access it here. The client can also leave comments as well as myself. So this is not only a space where they have everything they need organized, but it's actually a collaborative space where folks are actually leaving messages like, hey, check this out. And you can have conversation. Now, the other challenge that Align solves for is when you send all these different documents to your prospects in a traditional sense, you have no idea if they're consuming your documents. You have no idea if they're reading anything you're sending them. You have no idea if what you're sending them is even relevant. With Aligned, we actually will get data into how long each of your prospects are spending time in your room and seeing what they're consuming. So that way we can understand if this buyer is actually engaged. If they're spending 0 time in your room, that's probably not a great sign. However, if they are actually spending time in their rooms, I've had rooms go up to 10 hours of time spent in them, which is like longer than a flight from here to Italy. The longer you have time spent in the room, the more engaged the buyer is, the more time they spend with you, the more likely they are to spend money with you. So that is my overview of Aligned. I highly recommend if you're not using digital sales rooms in your sales process today, I highly recommend trying out Aligned at alignedup.com. And if you're interested to learn more about different sales technologies that help you sell better, feel free to subscribe and follow because I will be reviewing more sales technologies that I come across to help you close more deals and be more effective.